So big towels are really popular these days. It's something that I continue to find myself drawn to. I know my wife, the designer, absolutely loves this stuff because there's so many different designs and features with these big towels. And the other big thing is that they're easy to clean. The less grout joints that you have in a shower, the less maintenance there's going to be. So that is one huge benefit to big tiles like this. This is actually a 24 by 48 inch piece. So you're gonna be able to speed up your installation of a project like this because you're putting 8 square feet all at once. Now there are some cons to having big tiles like this, and one of them is cutting it. So it can be a little bit challenging cutting this. I'm going to show you some tips on how to go about doing that. But the other thing is that you're going to have a lot of waste depending on the size of your shower and the design of what you're doing. This is 8 square feet. If you cut a foot off of this, that's 2 square feet. That is just, you're basically wasting a lot. I used to always tell clients, order about 15-20% more of your tile. When it comes to something like this, you're really gonna have to know your design and pay attention to what you're doing. A lot of times you're almost 30% more tile square foot wise for something like this. But if you pay attention to your design before you get started, you could really make this easy on the cutting side and the waste side as well. So starting at the framing stage, making sure that you're placing your niche exactly where you can, where you basically have a factory edge, is really going to make it a lot less cumbersome with installing tile. Now we're just going to be using primarily just a grinder for this with a polishing pad, and that's really all you need. And I mainly wanted to demonstrate this just because some of these big towel tools that are, these big towel saws to cut these things are really, really expensive. And I just don't want to show you that you don't necessarily have to go out and spend $2,000 or rent something for $1,000 for the week to cut this. Now, it will speed up your process when you're buying, you're using those big towel saws. And if you're a contractor, you just have to end up getting into that if you're going to be doing a lot of this stuff. It's going to just, money is time, time is money, I should say, and you're going to be able to speed up your installations with the bigger towel saws. But really, a good grinder blade and a polish pad will really pretty much do everything. The other thing you want to consider is making sure that you get a good leveling system. My favorite is Perfect Level Master. I've been using this for well over a decade. I try these new systems and I end up always going back to it because I can always rely on the clip, and I can put an enormous amount of pressure on this and get these tiles nice and even with one another. I really get really frustrated and angry when one of these clips break. But Perfect Level Master, I mean, there might be, out of 100 clips I put, maybe one breaks, and that really has nothing to even do with the clip, and maybe I've stepped on it before I put it in. So I highly recommend getting a good clip system for this, and you're not going to need a whole lot for these big tiles. I mean, you're only talking, 15 pieces of this in this entire shower, so you only need a couple per side. The other thing you want to consider is making sure you're getting a big notch trowel for this. This is like a 3/8 by 1/2 inch trowel. You're just going to need a lot more thin set. You want to make sure that there is plenty of a good medium bed modified thin set behind this, and using a good trowel is going to make sure that, and the more thin set you can get behind it, the easier it is to line everything up. Okay, so when it comes to tiling a shower, the order of operation that I've found to be the best is always to set your shower floor first, because you're going to have the wall tile overcome the shower floor. So you could kind of be, a little bit less concerned about the cuts that you make because you're going to have this wall tile covered. So if you do the floor first, it's going to make it a lot easier. Plus, when you have this vertical joint on here, you're going to basically you're basically hiding that grout joint on the vertical surface here. So I just find that to be a lot better to overhang your wall tile over here rather than trying to fit floor tile up against there. Because if you have it, when you look straight down at a shower floor and you're trying to piece it, you can see that grout joint very well. And if you don't have an accurate cut on your floor, it's going to look pretty bad. So that's why it's nice to do the wall and overcome that shower floor. So do the shower floor first, and then you're going to want to do the back wall. And the main primary reason for that is that when you bring your other tiles this way, you're hiding that grout joint as well. Now we'll be caulking this corner, but it's just going to be less stressful on the cutting aspect because you're able to hide that grout joint. So do the back wall first, then the side walls. Now in this scenario, we got a lot going on here. We got these little shower ledges here. We're going to be basically having these full panels come a little bit outside the shower. So I'm really wanting to have this come outside the shower a little bit. And the main reason for that is that I'm going to be tiling this curb, and I want to be able to butt that tile up against here. So I do always recommend trying to bring your tile even outside of a curved shower like this, a couple of inches. It just makes everything look nicer, especially when you have shower doors centered on your curb. It looks pretty good. And then if you're doing a curbless shower, it's even more important in my mind to bring this tile out past that curbless entry, just because you want to have room when you put the shower doors on to have a little bit tile of outside of that. Most of the time when you put your doors on a curbless shower, you're wanting those doors to be lined right up on that joint between the shower floor and the outside floor. So if you bring your tile out a little bit, you'll be in good shape. Now, in this scenario, I can do kind of whatever I want as far as bringing that tile out. I'm going to bring it out onto this drywall a little bit. So something like 34 inches. We're going to pay attention to, kind of our joint here. But what my plan is just to keep all the factory edges on these sidewalls out here, so that when I do my edging, I could just be right against a nice edge. I'm not cutting this tile up against. We're going to be using basically a metal edging that's going to edge this, so it's going to be very visible. And if you're trying to cut straight lines with a grinder on something like that, it's going to be, you can do it, it's just going to be very cumbersome. You're better off to have all of your cuts in the corner and keep that factory edge there. So we're going to lay out this tile, running it over first, because this is going to dictate what the height of this back wall is going to be. Because we want to bring this all the way down to the floor on the outside of this curb. So obviously the outside of the curb, what do we have here? Got about 4.5 inches, is obviously way further down than where the shower floor is. On the inside of the shower, about 2 inches. So that's gonna be our indication point of where the height of our floor needs to be. So we want to basically have this full tile straight onto the floor. So that means that this right here is my level that's going to go all the way around the shower. Now I made sure that the floor is level and the curb's level, but we want to just double check that. Okay, so that's where we need to be. 23 3/4. 23 3/4, that'll work. So that's like 21 3/4, 21 7/8. So got a little bit of adjustment cut on the back wall here, but everything's pretty much the same here. It's 21 5/8, 21 5/8. So, all right, so now we have our height established because we're going off of this outside floor. I did create a little template here just because we got a lot going on here. We're trying to go over the curb, we're trying to go over the shower ledge. So this is going to help establish, what all these are going to be. And then we'll basically scribe cut anything. I like to leave the line on here and then do some additional cuts here. Now, going up against the shower ledge isn't going to really matter because we're going to have a piece that comes on the outside of this that will cover these edges. And then same with the top, we're going to do the top afterwards as well. And then again, we're going to be doing the curb last, and that's going to meet into the sidewalls. It doesn't really matter how far over we make this. So, let's just see what 34 inches looks like. That's not too bad. Honestly, I'd prefer to be right in the middle of this wood grain than being right on the edge here, just in case, my wall isn't 100% plumb there. It gives myself a little bit of room. Because I'd rather see that wood grain like all inside of that corner than having part of this like kind of in that corner. So 34 inches is right in the middle. I think that'll work just fine.